Joining me now is Denzel Washington, the film's star, director, and producer, and Constanza Romero Wilson, the wife of August Wilson. I am pleased to have them back at this table, both at this table. Many times for you, first time for you. But August was here, as you know, many times. To see this, to see all that film, to see Fences makes me proud to call you a friend, my friend.
No, thank you.
And to see the craft, to see the craft at play.
Thank you.
All those years.
It just touches me to see young August. Just to,
isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, to hear what he's saying and then here we are. I mean, it's
at the same table.
Yeah, because I haven't watched anything of him talking.
Yes.
I've listened to things and I've read things, but I haven't. That's the first time I've watched something in I don't know how long.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look at this. Roll tape.
Probably did it on purpose. I've been too scared.
August Wilson. Here it is.
You know, someone said to me, I was in a seminar, and a white guy said to me, "Are you saying that whites are not capable of directing this?" I said, "No. The industry is saying that blacks are not capable. Right. Because every movie that you have that is about the black experience is made by Hollywood as opposed to independent films. Or Color Purple, etc. I could name a lot of examples.
Steven Spielberg made Color Purple.
They're all directed by white directors, and this is though whites are saying that they have set themselves up as the custodian of the black experience. And I'm saying, well, I don't see any blacks making films about Italian life or about Jewish life or whatnot. So when you have a situation in which the content of the play is so much enmeshed in black culture, then you have to have a black sensibility behind the camera.
And I've been saying that for months. People have been asking about that, but they say race. But I've been saying what he just finished saying, which is culture. There are cultural differences. There are cultural differences between Goodfellas and Schindler's List. You know, yes, Scorsese could have directed Schindler's List. I guess Spielberg could have directed. But there are cultural differences, and so he's right.
But you hadn't heard him say that before.
No, I didn't. No.
Why did you want to do this beyond how much it speaks to you, and beyond maybe there's some sense that a black man should direct this?
I was asked. It's as simple as that. It started with the play. Scott Rudin brought the screenplay to me 7 years ago. I read it and I realized I hadn't read the play. So I read the play and it said Troy Maxon 53 and I was 55 when I read it. I was like, oh, I'm thinking, I thought I was too young for the part, going back to seeing it in the 80s. I saw it through Corey's eyes. So I called Scott and said, I want to do the play. And that was 7 years ago.
You want to do the play?
Do the play, which led, I want to do the play first.
Right.
I don't think I said I want to do the play first because I wasn't going to commit to, but I had to go through that experience and to find out if I could do the part.
Did it speak to you from the very beginning when you read it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What was it?
That's a good question because it's not one thing. Yeah. It's not like I saw that and I went, oh, it's like, oh, that's sort of like my father. Oh, yeah, that's how we used to do. It was our culture. It was things that we were talking about and the time that he took to let people tell stories was so natural and real. It just made me think of holidays around my house or times when uncles or somebody was over, and there was always the one that kept going and could, like I had an Uncle Elijah who he could drink, but I never saw him drink it. But the glass was always going down, but I never saw him. Every time because I used to watch him, I was like, man, I didn't see him drink it. Now it's down there. So
yeah. Where did August put Fences among all the things that he did?
You know, it's a very curious relationship that he had with the play. I think that after he wrote Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, right, which was his first, a lot of critics were saying, yes, he's a fantastic writer and he's written a beautiful play, but can he rise to the level of a Tennessee Williams and Arthur Miller? And can he write the classic American play? And I think that he rolled up his sleeves, and it's not that he set out to write, with those two giants sitting on his shoulder. But he did say, I want to write a treatise on on American life. The people that surrounded him while he was growing up, the men that surrounded him, he wanted to add value to their lives. He wanted to say, what is it about them that makes them so noble, so people who are worth remembering. And he wrote this play in answer to those questions. And if you look at the body of his work, this is the only play that has one central figure. And the central figure is a larger-than-life-sized man. And the others are much more, sure, there are some central figures, but the attention is spread a little bit more as an ensemble.
Did you get Viola to do this?
Did I get her to do it?
You're the director.
You mean to do the movie?
Yeah.
Well, she had done the play, and I wouldn't have done the movie without her.
That's what I'm saying. Okay.
No, we weren't going anywhere else.
We were not going
No.
I mean, having her was essential to having you.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's the experience we all had.
Yeah.
And not just Viola and Stephen Henderson and Russell and
everybody.
and Michael.
When you
C.
see him, you know you've seen him. He was one of those people.
Yeah. He is Bono.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
He is Bono. He is.
And another thing is about Denzel. He did his homework, and I think that
Always
casting, absolutely, having done 114 performances and casting theater actors in the film makes so much more more richness and relationships.
You got it. That you have to be able to handle the language. If the actor can't get his mouth or she can't get their mouth around the language, it doesn't matter how good, there's no improvising in this one.
You first have to hear the language.
You got to hear it, you got to know it, the music of it, and know when to jump in, because there's a music to it, there's a rhythm to it. And you can try and fight that, but it won't allow it. August won't allow it.
The script had been around. Paramount owned the rights to it since about 87, didn't they?
I think
Read
so, yeah.
I mean, that's like, 30 years.
Yeah.
Any trepidation about turning it into film, or you knew that this was a story you had to tell on film?
You never know, but you never know.
Yeah.
You don't know whatever I do next, whatever I did before that. You don't know if it's going to work as a film. Just because it says screenplay doesn't mean it's going to work as a film.
Do you find out after day 2, 3, 4? Can you feel that there is magic here?
Well, I knew I had a great piece of material.
Right.
I knew I had great actors. I knew we had delivered before.
Yeah.
So I don't remember it being
It's as
long.
good odds as you can have.
Yeah, and I don't remember it being long. It might have been halfway into the first day where I went, oh, okay. Yeah, it'll be all right.
The first day?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I don't remember what we... No, we did small things first. But even that, I remember we went to the cemetery, and just what Michael T. did, Gabe did with leaving the piece of bread, and it was like, oh my God, we were already off to the races. Like, here we go. Yeah.
What was the hardest thing about it?
Letting it go.
Letting it go.
Yeah. Letting it go. Wasn't anything hard about making
Letting it go meaning you finished it.
I'm still not finished. I got a couple things I want to. No, you're letting it go, letting it go, letting the character go. But my wife, she says to me, how long is, we'll see how long Troy's going to be around now. So who's coming home today?
Yeah.
Well, was Malcolm around for a while?
That's the one she said was around too long. Yeah. Making speeches.
Is that right?
That's it.
Yeah. Is this why you became an actor? The opportunity to do this kind of work, whether it's Malcolm, whether it's Troy, whether it's the first film we saw.
It's interesting you say that, because I really became an actor because I wanted to be like James Earl Jones. He was the example. And I started acting in the mid-'70s, and he was on fire.
Yeah.
And there weren't a lot of African-American film actors that I could, or even films, that I could look at and say, oh, I wanted to be in that in 1975 or whatever. There weren't a whole lot of films. And we were sort of New York theater snobs, if you will. So I wanted to do The Emperor Jones. I wanted to do everything that James Earl Jones was doing. You know, I didn't. Well, at that time it was before Fences, so he hadn't done Fences yet. Yeah.
And now, do you still want to do those things?
Yes. Yes. I better hurry.
Well, no, but you've got a bucket list there.
Well,
Of things that you want to do because you can grow into those roles, in a sense. You might have been too young earlier, you may have been too...
Yeah. I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you don't know about this shit. When you get to be our age.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
You do what you
do what you want to do.
You do what you want to do. Life's too short.
That's
Exactly right.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the, you know...
This ain't the dress rehearsal.
No, sir. No, sir. It's
This ain't the dress rehearsal.
Tell us about August.
Oh,
As a man, as a...
yeah. I think that the first thing I want to say about him in light of this movie is that, you know, the first half of this movie, the way that Troy Maxon is a storyteller, the way that he'll take little journeys away from reality and go and you know, sort of maybe meld two stories together, or say, you know, a field full of frogs and they were all going crazy, or, you know, he took flights of fancy for the sake of the story. But he was so funny. And his sense of humor was so ironic. You know, it took sometimes a couple of minutes to say, you know, but he loved to tell stories. And he, many times, whenever we would go to parties, he would sit in a quiet little corner and people would come and talk to him and he would tell his stories. And by the time the party was finished, everybody from the party was at this little corner.
You mean like made up story?
Just stories about
his past
life,
or his life?
and, you know, his early days in the Hill of Pittsburgh, you know, the Hill
Did he
district.
appreciate, and as Denzel said this morning, you know, he's up there in the lofty heights with Edward Albee, who died not long
O'Neill,
ago.
Miller.
O'Neill,
Williams.
Arthur Miller,
Williams, absolutely.
Tennessee Williams. He appreciated that this remarkable achievement of these series of plays,
I think
century
so.
plays.
I think so. You know, I think that he had a lot more
Decade
to do.
by decade.
Yeah, exactly, the American Century Cycle. He had a lot more to do. And he would often tell me, I cannot wait to write plays that are outside the American Century Cycle. He was waiting for what he did with the 10 plays is that he cut the plays out of the same cloth so that they would fit as a whole, you know, with the one set and with, you know, each decade. But he had a novel in him. He had another play that as soon as he finished one play, he'd start another one.
Would he rewrite?
He would rewrite, yeah. But it was more like making the plays fatter. You know, making the plays more rich.
More adding to it.
More adding to it. He hated to cut. As if you didn't know. Because, you know, he said that is important, even though, you know, some people would have thought it was extraneous.
Right.
But all of those little tidbits that he put in there, all the plays, are very, you know, large ideas about the culture and about history and about the common man.
Right.
Speaking of what makes a great director, among those things is casting. We talked about Viola. Here is Stephen Henderson in this scene, who plays Bono. Take a look. Are you going to direct more?
Not anytime soon. Where do you go from here?
Yeah.
No, I don't see it, because where would I go? And I don't. No, not right now. I don't even see it.
From work that's so great, and the line and the text is so fantastic, and the experience you had with this particular
Plus,
piece
I
of
gotta
work.
go make some money. I'm broke now. No, because you do take a year or two out of your life, and it doesn't really. I'd say it doesn't pay, but my bills are bigger than. Yeah, but not just that. I mean, really, where do you go from here? So I just leave that alone and go somewhere else and retool.
Have you tried to, in your career, balance some sense of stuff that you want to do that may be good work, but because it has potential to be a big payday, and
We do a
also
little bit
things
of
that you
both.
just really wanted to do
Yeah.
because it was so rich?
You do some of both. I did Raising in the Sun, and I didn't do anything else that year in 2014. Then I did a Western in 2015,
Right.
and nothing else.
This is Magnificent
Magnificent Seven. Then all I did in 16 was Fences, and nothing else. You know?
Do you have any? I mean, I mentioned bucket list earlier, talking about different kinds of things. But are there things that you very much want to do that you haven't done yet as an actor, or have you touched most of the bases that?
No, because I don't like deciding in advance. You know, it's like people saying, "Oh, I wrote this just for you." I'm like, that's the last thing I want to hear. Then, first of all, what makes you think you know me?
Yeah.
You know, and it's about opening a page and discovering something fresh and new, and a new world, new adventure, new way of thinking. You know, I don't want to be another garbage man right now.
Yeah.
You know, I've done that. You know.
What else can you tell us about August in terms of how he felt about plays and the theater? And
Oh, gosh, he was such a theater animal, really. You know, I think that a lot of people asked him to do different projects, you know, write a play or excuse me, a screenplay about Martin Luther King or, you know, Tupac Shakur or whoever. And he said, I've got things to do. And I've got my own voice, and I've got my own you know, the characters that I want to explore for myself. And so he turned that down. You know, it took an extraordinary amount of discipline, I think, for him to stay so focused. And, you know, who knew that he was only going to have a set amount of time to finish?
How old when he died?
He was 60, and he had just premiered his last play at Yale when he was diagnosed. And it took everything out of him for the last 4 months of his life after the diagnosis to finish and flesh out radio golf so that he could finish the 10-play cycle. So, yeah, he was also very audio. And you know, he knew what worked on stage. He knew he liked the process. He liked to work with actors. He liked to work with directors. He liked the way that, you know, certain actors that were, you know, some of his favorite, what I call Wilsonian warriors, how they treated his text up on
Chisholm.
that. Oh, absolutely. Anthony Chisholm.
Always up on his toes.
Always. Yes, Stephen McKinley Henderson,
Right.
another one
Right.
of his favorite actors. You know, I still remember when you know how everybody says Wilsonian. Well, excuse me,
Wilsonian,
everybody says Shakespearean. Excuse me. So. We were talking about a certain actor, and I said, "Nah, he's not Wilsonian," and he said, "Wilsonian," and I said, "Yeah, Wilsonian. You know what I mean?" And he loved it because, you know, it went up to, just because you're a black actor doesn't mean that you can do August Wilson, the music of August Wilson, the rhythm, the you know, the understanding of the underpinnings, you know, the underwaves of his words. So that's why I say he was a theater animal, and loved the stage.
Shakespeare. August, like Shakespeare, is. When I studied Shakespeare in school, you learn that paragraphs sometimes have a meaning. So you learn not to break it down too much. Don't make too much of a meal out of it, or it won't make sense. And August is the same way.
Yes.
You know, you could sit on a speech and try to overact it, or too many pauses,
breath in the middle.
it won't.
No.
Yeah, it won't. There's a rhythm to it.
What is August saying about family and marriage here?
Well, it's warts and all. It's the most beautiful thing. A very close, loving couple. That's why it was important for me, and it's in the play. I told all the actors, we have to be as loving as we can. We can't start from where we think the play starts. We have to start at the beginning. So we have to love each other. Without the love, then the disappointment doesn't mean anything.
Thank you. Great to
Thank
say
you.
thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.